I want to talk to you about a method that I like to call the anti-job seeker method. Now, why do I call it the anti-job seeker method? It kind of sounds cool, but also it gets your attention to click on this video. No, this method will actually help you overcome the challenges you've had and compete against all the other job seekers, but in a more effective way. I want to give you an unfair advantage, and in your job search, you probably need it. Now, the anti-job seeker method is another method that I like to refer to as know, like, invite. Very simple. You get a company to know you, you get them to like you, and if they like you, they invite you. It's a very simple method. The majority of you applying for jobs, you're not getting known. Therefore, you cannot be liked, and it's impossible to be invited. So, know, like, invite. So, how do we get known? Traditional methods of applying will not get you known. You are playing the lottery. You apply to a job that has 5,000 applications over 6 weeks, over 8 job boards, and you're hoping, you're praying that your application will come across a screen of a decision maker who will then click yes, give you a call, get the process started. It is extremely unlikely that that's going to work for you. And that's the reason you're clicking on a thumbnail that says the anti-job seeker strategy or the anti-job search. Now, how do you get them to know you? You network. You get to speak to people that have the ability to then know you. You use LinkedIn. LinkedIn is your new best friend. If you're not using LinkedIn, you have no chance to get known, or very little chance. You're just depending on a little piece of paper or a document that's been most likely created by ChatGPT. And the bad news is everybody's CV looks amazing now. AI has flooded the market, and know, like, invite is more important than ever for you to know. And if you're just sticking to that process, good luck. I'll speak to you in 6 months and you'll probably be in the same position. Now, I'm a little bit tough by saying that, and I appreciate that, but I want to kind of shake you a little bit to change your approach. So get people to know you. Use LinkedIn, reach out to people, develop a list of companies that you like. For somebody to know you, you have to be interesting. For you to be interesting, you have to be interested. And for you to be interested, you need to ask good questions. If you ask good questions, there's a higher chance of getting known. Your questions cannot be, hey, any jobs? That's not an interesting question. You're not then interested in the actual role itself. And that becomes a bit of an issue. So you have to think about this pragmatically. You have to think about this logically. You have to also think about this in a sales way. For a company to know you, they have to find you interesting by the questions you ask, by the outreach you do. There's a million things you can do on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, you can send an email message, you can send an ad note, you can comment on their posts, you can like their posts, you can get in touch with the company by cold calling them. And I'll do another video on actually cold calling a company, getting in touch with the decision maker. But how do you get them to know you? Well, you send a good message, you get a reply, but you don't do it once. You do this over a consistent period of time. If you're reaching out to 10 people a day over a week, you'll have 50 opportunities to get known. If you do this 5 times a week and it doesn't work, and then you think, well, nobody's going to know me because you've done it 5 times, you need to hit some big numbers, because job search right now and networking is a contact sport. If you're connecting and hoping for the best to a small group of people, you're not going to get good market data. And I've done a video about failing. Failing isn't failing, it's just data. If you've reached out to 5 people and nobody's replied, you have very little data to get known. If you reach out to 100 and you realize that 10 know you, you figured out a way to get 10 people who have potential decision-making ability to know you. Okay, so that's how you get people to know you, by reaching big numbers, asking interesting questions, and having a strategy. By the way, link in the description if you want that strategy. I will get you known by decision makers in groups of companies you want to work in. If you don't know which companies to go for, I'll help you with that. If you don't know what to say, I'll help you with that. If you don't know how to present yourself in an interview, I will help you with all of that. I want to get you multiple offers. And by following these videos, you will get yourself closer to that goal. Okay, so you get them to know you. What happens now? You have to get them to like you. How do you get people to like you? Well, you build rapport. I'm going to do another video on a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, one of my favorite books. And Dale Carnegie talks about getting people to like you. You have to ask questions. You have to continue to ask genuine questions. If you ask questions that are, hey, what's the day-to-day like? What's the industry like? What do you look for in a candidate? These very basic, non-interesting questions. These people have been asked that question millions of times. And then along come you with a question in the same way. You're not going to get liked. You're just going to get pushed to the side. And that's not a way to like you. How do you get people to like you? Ask intelligent questions that build more rapport. The more you ask, the better you show that you've understood the answers. For example, what's the main soft skill when it comes to achieving interviews from applications? It's a very specific question. If somebody says leadership, you showcase how you have leadership qualities and you ask another question and you build more questions around the fact that you are the right fit. Now, most of you might think, well, Milo, that's a little bit repetitive. How can I just keep asking questions? You're your own worst enemy when it comes to your job search. You're not even trying. You're too bothered by what you feel they will think about you. I don't want to bother people. How do you know you're going to bother people with good questions? If you reach out to 100 people and 90 ignore you, but 10 respond favorably, 10 can help, why are you bothered about the 90? Why are you not excited about the 10? That's not a strategy problem. That's a you problem. So you need to fix that. And then you need to do this. Because if you get 10 people to like you every week that can help you, you have 10 opportunities every week. Very simple, right? So you just have to hit the numbers. You have to become fearless. Now, all I ask for you to do is do this for a week. See the change. And if that week does not ignite a confident fire in your soul to carry this on, I don't know what will. But you have to at least try. You can't hit half-assed numbers. 5. It's not enough. 5 people knowing you doesn't make a difference. Or 5 people attempting to know you doesn't make a difference. You need to hit big numbers, 100 people. If you want 3 interviews in a week, you have to hit the numbers. They're not going to come out of thin air. They're probably not going to come from applications. You've known that for some time now. That's why you're watching this video. So get them to know you. Get them to like you. Invite. How do you get them to invite you for a meeting? Well, you have to make that invitation happen. You cannot sit around and wait and hope for the best. That's not going to happen. You need to ask the right question. Hey, do you have 5 minutes? Simple as that. Do you have 5 minutes to discuss my profile? Do you have 5 minutes tomorrow, or do you prefer next week? That's something that I call a placebo choice. You give them the option. Both are yes in your favor. Tomorrow, yes, or next week, yes. If you say, do you have time for a meeting today? No. Do you have 5 minutes to talk? Do you prefer tomorrow, or do you prefer next week? You make it happen by the way you structure your questions. Now, if you want examples and more examples of how that works, reach out to me. I will help you with this. But let's say you get an invite. You have an informational call, or what I like to call an informational interview, or the industry likes to call it. If you have an informational interview, you have the opportunity to sell yourself. You have the opportunity to ask more questions. You have the opportunity to ask closing questions that help you make an application. For example, let's say you get an invite from someone who has decision-making ability in the company you want to work for, and you can then ask a question as simple as, can you help me make a formal application that results in an interview? If they say yes, you have an interview. My students generate 3, 4, 5 informational calls a week. They convert half of those into interviews and half of those into offers. They do this over a 3, 4, 5 week period, and they have multiple opportunities. Do you want the same strategy? Click on the link in the description. Let's work together. You have to apply to the How to Job Plus program so I can assess if I can help. If you're looking for an astronaut position, probably not going to be the right fit. But if you're looking for a position that you can organically get into, I can help you. Also, we're at the stage where I ask you to subscribe, right? Like and subscribe if you found this helpful. If you do subscribe, it costs you nothing and it means the world to me. It helps me carry on with making more of these videos for you and helping you out in your job search. I'll see you on the next one.